Greetings Earthlings, I'm here in my workshop. I finally moved back in. I've been back in about a week now, so I've been holding off making a gear video until I had somewhere to actually make it. If you remember, like before I left for the PCT, I did my original gear video here. So, got my bag, got the GoPro, got a cup of tea. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with my backpack. This is the Atom Packs EP 40 litre lightweight backpack. It was amazing, it was fantastic, did everything I wanted to, it was comfy. The only mistake I made, this wasn't the fault of Atom Packs themselves, was I bought too small volume size, 40 litres. I should have really, well, like I said, I get the 50, I should have got the 60, because what happened is in the Sierra, I swapped to a Osprey Exos 58 just to have that extra volume for my beer canister and my winter gear. I should have really just left from the start with a 50 or 60 litre Atom Pack. One of those long water carries and 5-day food carries, I was running out of space inside. I had my tent on the outside quite often, which isn't a bad thing, but personally I quite like to have everything inside. The only other issue I had with it was the hip belt. I lost so much weight that I couldn't do the hip belt up anymore. This was a good 1,500 into the trail. So then again I had to swap to the Exos just because the pack wasn't fitting me anymore. It was sliding down my hips and just causing me a lot of pain. Too uncomfortable to hike with. Apart from that, it was amazing. What would I do if I was going now? I'd be inclined to take an Exos actually, just for the extra features and the breathable back. If I took out Atom Packs 50 or 60, I'd be well happy with it too. Yeah, difficult really. Not sure I'd be happy with either, but just for the extra compartmentalization, I guess, I would take the Exos. And I don't know if the hip belt causing me pain has coloured my opinion of it. That was my own fault. I lost so much weight. Yeah, great pack. I was really pleased with it. Little bits of damage you can see here. It's non-structural, structural, little bits of wear on the hip belt. Also there, hip belt pockets are really good, they're extra. Great side pockets, get 2 litre bottles of water in each one. I did have the strap customised so it could carry my GoPro. I kept a half a litre Nalgene bottle in here. You could probably put a 75 milliliter bottle in there actually, but mine was a half litre. The style of it actually is this flexible sleeve at the back. I mean, you can get so much in there. It doesn't look like you can, but yeah, that carries a lot. So brilliant. Okay. So just, well, let's go something outside. Trekking poles. These are the Lecky, how do I want to say they are? The Lecky micro variable trekking poles. I started off the trail with one pole actually, because my tent, which we'll get to, is a one trekking pole tent. I switched to 2 some point in the Sierra. I was getting on really well with one pole. I decided to switch to 2 just to up my pace, just to take some strain off my knees. Did I really need to? I'm not sure. I got used to using 2 though. As you can see, that one's held together by Leuco tape. I mean, they're super robust, really strong and light. But that was when I fell off the trail when I was ill in the Sierra. And I basically dragged it down the rock face as I was falling, total reaction, and it ripped the top off. So it's held on by Leukotape since. This one, you can see on the handle there, some critter has eaten through it. That happened also in the Sierra. In fact, I think it was the 2 nights after I bought the poles. So yeah, they were really good. Get rid of those. So I'll just go through whatever comes out first, and we'll just have a talk about it. Okay, waterproof jacket by Rab. This is the Rab Protex. It's waterproof and a little bit flexible. Didn't really get to test it, only got rained on a few times, but those times it did rain, it was really good, yeah, it was great. Same with trousers, I took trousers, but only put them on a couple of times. But those times I needed them, they were really good. What we got here, hat. This is the Airflow Tilly hat. This was bought for me by my friends, Sammy, Sarah and Daisy, so thanks for that, girls. Great, really wide brimmed hat for the desert. Once I got out of the Sierra, I actually switched it to a little running cap, lightweight running cap, just to keep the sun out of my eyes. And I shipped this in my bounce box, but vital during the desert stages. What we got next? Okay, socks. So we may as well talk about footwear. On my feet I wore the Lone Peak 6 trail running shoes, very common on the trail and amongst hikers these days. I'll show you them here. These are the waterproof ones for walking around the town in winter. I've got through 5 pairs, and I was using these in gingy toe socks only. That combination in gingy toe socks and the Lone Peak 6 were brilliant. I looked after my feet really well. I was cleaning them every night, and I was making sure I had clean socks, and I was changing my socks as much as I could. I had 1 blister all trail, which is pretty amazing, really. Pretty amazing. So for me, this was a great combination, the Gingies and the Lone Peak 6. During winter gear, Sierra, I changed things up, and I had these very thin Gingies. These are the liner socks, and on top of those I would put Sealskins waterproof socks, and the really long ones that were knee height, because there was a lot of gnarly water crossings and a lot of snow and slush walking. That was also a great combination, along with my Lone Peak still. Used to wake up at 3 in the tent and get ready to go over those major passes, and I'd roll those sealskins on, and I just felt indestructible, just super warm, waterproof. Great, really good combination. That worked really well for me. And then obviously these Gingies were liners, they were soaking up the sweat and they were preventing blisters. So footwear, my footwear I was really pleased with, apart from I got through 5 pairs of Lone Peak 6, just having to get hold of new pairs was a major hassle, but got through it. What's next? Here's a can of worms. This is my sleeping pad. Okay, so it's in an emo bag, but it's actually the Sea to Summit lightweight pad. It's the lightest one Sea to Summit do. It's got no insulation value in it, and that's because when I bought it, I was at Mount Shasta and summer was coming. I knew I didn't need insulation, so I just went for the lightest pad I could find. Sleeping pads. This was my 4th pad I used on the whole trip, and that's a lot of money to spend. The first one I had was the Nemo Tensor insulated. For some reason, that started deflating in the first 2 weeks maybe. Replaced that with a Sea to Summit at some point. That failed, Could never find holes in them. Even, you know, putting them in, soaking them underwater, looking for air bubbles, and no matter how much I looked after them, they never, the only places they ever were in my sleeping bag or in the tent, and they were never anywhere else. But they still managed to get holes in them. After that Secret Summit one, I had a Nemo Alpine, which was my favourite one actually. Really good, really comfy, good dimensions, and I think it's like a 6R value of insulation, so really warm. Yeah, really wound me up, the sleeping bag situation. So, I mean, they're not made for through hiking, I don't think. But no, none of the makers will admit that, of course, you know. They're just a bit fragile. You need to look after them, and they cost a lot of money when you have to replace them. So, all of them were comfy, mind, very comfy. Okay, next is tent. This is the Six Moons Designs Lunar Solo. It was amazing, really enjoyed it. It's a single skin, single pole tent. I'll do a separate review because a lot of you asked for that, so I'll do a separate review of this. Really enjoyed it, it was really good, really light, really performed just really well. Obviously there's condensation issues, it being a single skin tent, but we'll get into that. I'll do a really, we'll have a really good talk about that actually. But yeah, brilliant tent. I used 6 Groundhog Minis, 8 Groundhog Minis with the guy outs, and they were great too. They never lost their shape and hardly ever popped out. This withstood a real snow bomb one night when we got snowed on at Little Jimmy's campsite. Really pleased with it, really pleased with it. Next, got Tyvek ground sheet. Very special Six Moons Tyvek ground sheet. Basically, they just put a sticker on a sheet of Tyvek and sell it for $20. But you know, I mean, an extra layer of protection, insulation for your tent, and also quite good for sitting on at break, etc. Tyvek. Okay, we got cooking gear. Secret Summit spoon. I started off with a spork, an aluminium spork. Didn't like the points on the end. I felt like I was going to poke holes in things, even though they were rounded points. Enjoyed this plastic one, it was pretty indestructible. Also it flex around stuff in my food bag and in my kit, and also acted as a good spring inside my bear bag, which was bear canister, which was handy for holding things down. That was the second one. I lost the aluminium one, I lost one of these, so this was the third spoon I had. Emergency whistle, didn't take that, don't know what that's doing in it. So this is the Tokes 650 titanium pot, really light, perfect for making boil in the bags, perfect for making ramen, just the right size I think. Used to keep my gas canister in there and my cooker and my lighter. The top's in the bag somewhere. Oh, where's the cooker? Hopefully I won't find that. Just a few little bits I took with me on my pack, Lucky Charms, etc. Water filter, this is the Sawyer Squeeze. I started off with a Catadine B3. I used 2 Catadine B3s before they got completely clogged up. Eventually bought the Sawyer only because there was no B3s left. It was really good, but I do actually prefer the B3. But yeah, either or really. Okay, various bits in this bag. This is a waterproof phone pocket I got from REI, which I attached to my Exos when I was in Washington because I was expecting it to rain. It only rained a couple of times when I was in Washington. Didn't really use this to be honest, but it's really good. It's got a little magnetic clip. Really good. Secret Summit head net for mosquitoes. Used this a few times. Very light, doesn't take up any room, but well worth it when you get bombarded by the little tigers. So that's good. Pillow as part of my sleep system. This is the Eros Ultra Light. It's the small size. I did have one before this which I burst, and basically the valve rubbed through the pillow material after folding it up so many times. I switched to the smaller one, smaller, lighter, didn't need a large one. Really good. Right, what we got next? A few bits and bobs. Alright. And here we have, oh god, Petzl Bindi head torch. Really good, really enjoyed this. I started off with the Nightcore NU25, like a lot of hikers have. I lost it on San Jacinto Mountains somewhere. While Lara was ill, she picked this up for me in Idlewild. I really enjoyed it, actually preferred it to the NU25, solely because it's just got one button. There's no like, which button do I need? When in the dark and just, red light's a bit dim on it, but apart from that, amazing. Use my cooker, MSR, pretty standard, it's the same one I started with. A lot of people got through a couple of these, mine still working. Right, Garmin InReach Mini. Very good for sending my position every night. Used to send that home, so everyone knew where I was every night. I never switched on full tracking. Also was quite handy for GPS messaging, which is a bit of a faff, but it's super handy when you need to get older people, you know, on trail. Yeah, vital obviously for the SOS option on there. If you get in trouble, you hit that and a helicopter will come and rescue, hopefully. Okay, poop kit. So I'd have a little bag like this, a little Ziploc. In there I would have my trowel, the Deuce No. 2 ultralight trowel for digging cat holes. I'd have wet wipes and toilet paper for cleaning my butt. I would also have a little bottle of antibac, obviously for staying clean, and dog poo bags, that's for packing out my toilet paper. Always have a roll of those with me, and I could just pack out my loo roll. So that's the poop kit. Standard buff. It was always in my bag. I never used it. Don't know why I kept hold of it. Just always felt like I should have one. You actually used it once when it was really windy to cover my face, and I was glad of it then, but to be honest, I just carried it up the trail and never used it. Alright. Empty bags. Pop top. Okay. Small towel, little micro towel, useful for everything, mainly for soaking up condensation on the inside of my tent. Very handy for that. Patagonia puffy, brilliant, loved this. Always just kept it in my dry lining, never really wore it in the day, just kept it for breaks, for being warm, for when you get to camp, being warm in the mornings, and sometimes I'd sleep in it. Great, effective, warm, packs down to nothing. Remnants of my first aid kit. The most vital thing I'd say in here is Compeed. If you've never used Compeed when you're hiking, blister prevention, and for when you've got a blister, absolutely brilliant. I only had one blister, but there were a few times where I did use these just for prevention when I could feel something coming on. Brilliant. Never go hiking without Compeed, to be honest. Next, what we got in here? Sealskin hats, didn't take those. Okay. Rab sun hoodie. I started off with one of these in the desert, wore through it. By the time I got to about Shasta, bought another one while I was in Shasta. really great, light, dries quickly, wicks sweat, keeps the sun off you, it's got a hood. Just brilliant, just perfect. I mean, just used to wear it all day, every day, and used to sleep in it. Because what I did do is I used to sleep in, this is a Patagonia Capilene base layer. I took this and a pair base layer shorts to sleep in. But in the end, I just used to crawl into my sleeping bag in my clothes, basically my shorts and this. These would only go on if it was really cold, which obviously there were times when it was very, very cold. But yeah, the sun hoodie, Rab sun hoodie, brilliant. Last two pieces of clothing to mention. One of them I have on now is my Patagonia R1 hoodie. Just a medium weight, warm mid layer. Also got a sort of light waterproofing. It's kind of showerproof really, so mist proof I'd call it. Mist proof layer on it. Really good top, really just great all round use. And then the other mainstay of my clothing, when I did have my shorts on, which was all the time, over the top of them I would have my Montane pants, trousers. They're the Terra, T-E-R-R-A, which are really good as well. Lightweight, dried quickly, warm as well, hard wearing, really good. Great fit, good pockets, and vents down the side. So they were good for early mornings or late evenings, or I'd wear them to bed over my shorts if it was cold. Yeah, it's another good item of clothing there. Alright, so sleeping. Sleeping bag I took, I haven't got here with me because I actually threw it out at the end. I did think about maybe I could get it refilled or cleaned and sewn up, but it was in such a state by the end. And I was so disgusted by it. I mean, most nights I couldn't wait, you know, oh great, I'm gonna get my sleeping bag, go to sleep, love my sleeping bag. But by the end, it was such a stinking, smelly, horrible thing that I really wasn't looking forward to getting into bed. So, I mean, it lost, I'll tell you what it was first. It was the Sierra Designs Cloud. It's kind of a hybrid sleeping bag. Blanket, not blanket, what do you call it? Hybrid sleeping bag quilt. No zip, but a loose, like top layer where the zip would be, which is oversized, you could tuck around you. And to start with, it used to wind me up. It really wound me up to start with, but then I really got into it. Had a sleeve at the back for your pad. You could put your pillow underneath the sleeve and underneath the hooded part of the sleeping bag, and it wouldn't move. It was brilliant. I really got into it, really enjoyed it. It says it's a -3 bag. I would say it's a 0 bag. -3 is what, 20? Is that 20 degrees? I would say it's up to freezing, and then I had to add Seat Summit thermal liner, which is great. I'm really glad I had this. I used this a lot, especially in the Sierra. Once summer came and I was out in Oregon and Washington, I put this in my bounce box and didn't use it again. But vital. At one point it was annoying me in my bag all the time, and I was going to post it. But Momcat, if you're listening, Momcat, thank you, told me not to, and I didn't, and I'm very glad. Okay, gloves. I started off with these in the desert. These are the Montane Prism waterproof gloves. They're down and they have a waterproof line in them. Never really got tested for the waterproofness of them, but they were good. They were really good. And they stuffed down into nothing. Use these quite a bit late at night, early mornings in the desert. When I got to the Sierra, I swapped these out for very thin North Face liner gloves, topped with some mammut mittens, waterproof mittens, which I only used a couple of times, to be honest. I would have been alright with just these going through the Sierra as well, to be honest, but I was expecting more snow than we had, so I would probably have just stuck with these, to be honest. Never really tested their waterproofness though. Okay, so these are the Marmot mittens that I took. Pretty good. Never got tested properly though, never really needed them. This is the little runner's cap I replaced my Tilly airflow with. Got a nice big peak, keep the sun out, and if it rained, to keep the rain off my face. Nice and lightweight, dried easily, really good. Wrap waterproof trousers, bag for sleeping bag. So look, what else have we got here? We're running out. That's the Patagonia Capilene base layer that I used to wear in bed. Ah, bag is empty. Okay, so I've made a few notes about other things. Swiss Army knife, this isn't the one I took. I took one of the small SD knives. Didn't really need a blade bigger than the one I took. Occasionally might have been handy to have a blade that size, mainly for food, but not really. The scissors on that little knife are great for cutting your toenails, etc. Plus the tweezers. Great for your first aid kit and for general use. Okay, so let's have a look at what we missed. Shades, took a pair of Gooders. They were really good. They got a nice non-slip finish to them, rubberized, because they're for runners. Wore them through the desert and over the Sierra Nevada mountains. Vital to beat the snow glare. Shorts, amazing, were the Patagonia, what are they called? Trail running shorts with little mesh pockets. And those mesh pockets I never used out on trail, but when you're in town, it's super handy. I could put my GoPro in them, I could put my wallet, I could put my phone in them. Patagonia Strider, that's it. Got through 2 pairs of those. I ripped 1 pair on a log. Let's have a look. Oh, bum bag. I took a fanny pack. I took a Atom Pack bum bag, which I used a lot to start with, just to put daily stuff I needed in. Batteries for the GoPro, sun cream, insect bite stuff. But I found after a while I never really needed any of that in the day. I never really needed it there in front of me. So I actually stopped wearing it. Still use my hip belt pouches quite a bit. And I actually wrapped the bum bag around my pack and had it as like an extra pouch on the back of the pack, just to keep things in. So I never got rid of it. It was still handy. Okay, so here's all the electronics I took with me. Up at the top here, obviously you can see my iPhone 13, vital for communications and navigation. This is the Anker 10,000 power pack. Really great. Would last me about 5 days of phone charging and GoPro charging, etc. I'd probably go with the Nightcore pack now. It's a lot lighter and smaller. It does the same thing. But this was great. GoPro, obviously I'm filming on now. GoPro charger for batteries. Took 4 Enduro batteries from a GoPro. Last 20% longer. And they're really good in the heat and in the cold. They still work below freezing, so they were great investment having those 4 batteries actually. Memory cards, all my whole trails up there on those memory cards from start to finish. Various cables. This is my wall charger. It's an Anker dual port charger, USB-C, as you can see. That was great too. Doesn't take up much room in a plug. A little bit heavy. Dongle for transferring data to my phone from the memory cards from the GoPro. And I think that's pretty much all my electronics. We've covered the Garmin, covered my head torch. So that's it for electronics really. So I'm just going through the notes I made on my phone here, just the things that I'm missing. And I think pretty much covered everything. So I hope that was I hope that's what you wanted to hear. Quite quite tricky. We all like a gear video, don't we? It's all pretty geeky. Just looking through this now. There's nothing I've missed. Food bag. I took a Sea to Summit waterproof bag. I think it was a 14-litre bag. I probably have taken something else, a Dyneema bag. It was a bit wider actually, but with a wider bottom. It's quite hard to access things in it. It worked really well, but it's hard to access things in it. I was really happy with everything. I need a new sleeping bag. I'm probably going to get the same one, the Sierra Designs Cloud. I think it's called the Cloud 800. I was pretty happy with that, and I'm happy with having the liner with it. I know I like the way it held the mat, and I like the way it held the pillow. Enjoyed my tent, although I've actually ordered a new tent. I've ordered the Durston X-Mid one person. The mats, sleeping pads, super annoying, super annoying. That cost me a lot of money replacing, I had 4 pads in the end. And I was so careful with them, so careful. I don't know what's going on there. At one point I was even thinking of just buying it, because the guy I hiked with, Silent, shout out to Silent, he just had a cheap brand name sleeping pad. It was fairly heavy, inflatable, but it never burst, and he was never worried about it. And by the end I was trying to do that, but I could never find one. So I ended up just buying expensive pads. Fair play to Nemo, they did send me a replacement for one of them, which was waiting for me when I got home. What would I have done differently? I don't think there's anything. I wasn't ultra lightweight, I wasn't heavy, I was lightweight. Everything I took I used, except for my buff. Yeah, I was happy with everything. My 500ml Nalgene I used to keep here on my shoulder strap. That was super handy. You don't see many Nalgenes on the trail. It had a wide mouth, so I could make drinks with it. I could put oats in it. I could put protein powder in it. I could also put hot water in it, use as a hot water bottle, which I did a couple of times, and that was really, really marvellous. Would I have taken anything else? I mean, you always want to lighten up, but I was pretty happy. And some of the things, clothes I could have got rid of that a lot of people were doing, but I'm too nervous about that. I've been out hiking around here in these mountains and in Wales often enough to know that if you get caught out, you're in trouble. So I never ditched my base layers for sleeping. I never ditched those, even though I didn't use them much, because you always need a dry set of clothes. You never know when you're going to get exposed. Yeah, I'll take it all again. So I've probably missed something. If I have, just ask and I'll reply. Hope that's informative. Some of the things I haven't got to show you, obviously, like my sleeping bag, because it was horrible and I burnt it with fire. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that video. Next video will be a review of the Six Moon Designs Lunar Solar Tent, and then hopefully I'm going to get out backpacking, do a 2 or 3 night wild camp around here soon, and I'll make a video of that, of course. Alright, so we'll see you then.